Brian Turner with CCS here again with my friend Andy Scholting of Nutrient Advisors. So last time we were together, we were talking about what it takes to get into putting a building up or whatever. And one of the things you had mentioned, Andy, was the nutrient management. Now, since I've been in the business, one thing I've noticed is that's a big part of both the financial equation and also just the advantages or one of the attractions of getting into that part of the business if that's something you want to do.
Sure.
So can you go on a little bit about that, explain that to me a little bit more?
Sure. Well, the value of nutrients that will be produced by a proposed livestock facility has really become one of the key decision-making factors that farmers are considering when considering entering producing livestock. And so with that, when we go through the permitting process, a nutrient management plan is one of the key components of a permit application, whether it be sometimes the county requires that, the state and EPA always requires a quality nutrient management plan.
Okay, so now is that has to happen before everything goes on, right? I mean, after the decision had been made that yes, you want to move forward. Last time we talked about setbacks, so the building will work, and then this would be the next step. And then you really, I guess it depends upon what kind of facility you're putting up,
Yeah.
and then you would be able to. Now, are there different regulations depending upon whether it's a cattle or a hog or whatever the species might be?
Certainly, species and size and scope will
Okay.
determine.
Okay.
If a nutrient management plan is required, which is almost always yes,
Mm-hmm.
and if it is, then what type of manure are we managing? But most of the time that has to be done upfront as part of the permit application before we can break ground on that facility.
Okay, so you go in, you file the permit and the plan, because when I hear plan, like in our business, that's something that we plan on working and managing,
Sure.
and it's a process, right?
Right,
Okay,
right.
is that the same thing in this, in how you would do this?
Yeah. So we would take your plan,
Mhm.
the design and the specs of the building itself,
Right.
and package that together with a nutrient management plan, and that all becomes part of that permit application process.
Okay, so what if my facility or my property doesn't allow this distribution of the nutrients?
Sure.
So is that something you can help us with then? I mean, you can say, okay, you can't use it here, but we can help you find another place to put it. I mean, how does that all work?
Yeah, well, let me back up just a little
Yeah.
bit. There's a lot of different ways that an operation can capitalize on the value of those nutrients. We're talking about nutrient management plans, and that's an essential part of the permit and that upfront process. We can do that just to achieve a permit, or we can do that with the best interests of the client in mind. And that's really our focus, is to develop a great plan that not only achieves a permit, but helps that client understand what that value is and make sure that they have a great plan to capitalize on all that value. And a lot of things go into that decision-making process. Is what is my land base? What's my existing fertility? What is my crop plans? What are my yield goals? And all of those questions come together to help determine, is there room for more nutrients here?
Okay.
Do I need to go buy and supplement more nutrients? And sometimes that answer is yes, we can use all of this, and that makes that decision an absolute slam dunk and makes the value that much more and more. Sometimes clients can use part of the nutrients, and then we have to develop sales programs or relationships with neighbors that can plan to use those nutrients. Typically, the highest return or the highest value for the producer itself is if they can utilize those nutrients themselves.
So then the ROI then, and so then what I heard you say is it helps tie it back in to the overall payoff of the facility. As you
Exactly.
take a look at cash flow,
Yeah.
Because that's an integral part of it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
what we can do. So if I heard you right, then you will actually help. If I have a piece of property that I cannot utilize all the nutrients, then you have experience in helping us or helping me if I wanted to go out and say, okay, like you said, a neighbor or somehow to market the nutrients that I can't get rid of.
Sure, and one of the first steps in that is really just education. We have to identify enough acres up front. So if you're a producer and you don't have enough acres to utilize all of your proposed nutrient production, then we have to identify some additional acres up front. And so that might just be sitting down with those neighbors, educating them on what this new product would be, and then they would have to sign up to be part of that nutrient management plan.
Okay, so then But that has to be part of the plan that you would submit,
That
right?
does,
You'd have to have all
yes.
that mapped out.
Correct.
Now, would you help me sit down with my neighbor? And I got a crabby neighbor. I mean, would you help me sit down with him and explain the value? Or?
I'd help you even if he's not crabby.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, we all know, because sometimes there's a stigma
Sure.
around all of that, because we've all heard the stories when Joe's over there, he's putting
Right.
fertilizer down, and I'm gonna have to smell it, and
Sure.
sometimes we see that if we bring in a group like yourself. A little bit more of respect that you sit down with somebody and you can help tell the story maybe
Right.
better
Right.
and that type of thing.
There's so many technologies that we utilize in these facilities today that minimize odor, that help the utilization and agitation and the uniformity of the nutrients that we're producing. We have so much more technology to go haul, deliver, apply these nutrients. We've come so far in the last 10 to 15 years on how manure is managed and how a producer or their neighbors or a whole region can benefit by the value of livestock nutrient production.
That's interesting. So really, as we go forward and we think about how to better utilize, get an ROI on our buildings and try to make sure that we're working well within the community, we have a good, solid plan.
Yep.
By the way, a question I do have: can the plan change, or does the plan change from year to year, depending upon? Because if I
Sure.
add another facility, it's going to change.
Sure.
Okay.
It's ebb and flow. Crop plans always change. Yield goals can change. Our nutrient consistency, our management style in the barn itself might change. There's a lot of factors, and so part of the strategy with writing a good nutrient management plan is to write in a lot of options, a lot of what ifs. Hey, if this circumstance is the case, then we're going to manage this way. And so writing in those methods, methodologies, and then providing an opportunity and an avenue to change, modify, add to down the road is certainly part of the plan.
Okay, that's good, because I've been talking to a lot of people in the industry, and while a lot of people think they know, I found out that they don't always know what they think they know because of changing regulations,
Sure.
or you brought up a good point about innovation changing on whether it be applying the nutrients or the paperwork part of it, which we're going to get into. A lot of different things are changing in that industry. So.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Well, once again, tell us a little bit about your company.
Sure. We've got about 32 people on staff, work across 5 states, again, primarily with the livestock industries from the area of environmental compliance, permitting, livestock development, and ultimately our goal is to achieve maximum value returns for our clients through the utilization of the nutrients they produce.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks again, Andy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You bet.